Hello and welcome back to the next edition, the fourth edition of our series for golegal.co.za. If you haven't already subscribed, please go to www.golegal.co.za. Fantastic website, fantastic news, all of the latest news and views and legislation changes and all manner of things coming through in the South African legal market. The impact of tech is another thing that they've covered recently. Lots of articles by fantastic lawyers, law firms, and really at the forefront and at the cusp of really what's happening in the commercial legal market, probably more so than any other publication out there. So go to golegal.co.za today. My name is Rob Green, if you didn't already know that, and I am the CEO of the GRM Group. And I am here each month to discuss what's happening in the legal job market. Now, last month, we did quite a long video, which was really well received. I got a lot of feedback on it. We specifically focused on the pay reviews and pay rises that will be decided this coming month in September, and what people, individuals and companies should really prepare for. So we broke down one of the key drivers of the market, which is the M&A activity. And we looked at all the research that was available and saw that obviously there had been a distinct drop in the activity this year, and what that means for law firms, and then what that means for salaries and bonuses and the like, which are obviously decided this month for next year. And suffice to say that my conclusion was that we will see stagnation, certainly amongst the pay rises and bonuses for associates and senior associates. That's not down to effort that's being put in. That's just that the revenues aren't necessarily there. So stagnation is probably going slightly too far to see a zero increase. I suspect we'll probably see a nominal rise in some salaries at around 1% to 2%. We've obviously talked about that. We've also talked about the increase in partner hiring. Certainly those with transferable book of business and client base, they are highly sought after as firms really look towards 2024 and beyond, and how to really structure their top earners, their highest band of management and leadership, what support they're going to need down the funnel in respect of senior associates, associate help, and how AI and further usage of software will impact the need to continue to recruit. This isn't the platform that I'll go into that. I have other videos that I've released on our YouTube channel that discuss in greater detail the strategies and structures that we're helping law firms put in place. But suffice to say that it's going to result in a lot less positions for associates and senior associates in law firms. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be an increase in activity on the in-house side either. It's just going to be that going forward, there's going to be a lot less roles, and we'll go into that on other videos. Increase in partner hiring. Also, we have had it on from a few quarters, shall we say, a few corners, a growing frustration amongst some partners and leaders and remuneration committees when it comes to what has been coined by an American publication, Zoom associates, and how that might affect bonuses, meaning some frustrations about now we're coming to bonus time, about the impact that the markets have had this year, and also those that continue to work at home, those that are referred to as Zoom associates. So that's one to watch. That is definitely one to watch. I don't know. I don't have an answer of whether that's going to be really affected in South Africa, but it's something to be wary of if you are expecting a nice bonus next month. Look at the results, look at what's happening, and understand that there is a growing frustration around Zoom associates. Next month is pay review time, so that's why we're talking about it so much at the moment. The rest of this year, for the Q4 going into Q1 next year, we're going to continue to see an increase at the partner hiring level as firms really start to ramp up and strengthen for the coming years. Next year is an election year here in South Africa, so we can expect a lot of good news coming out. Interest rate drops, lots of good news coming out of the stock market, a lot of good news coming out of the business news. So, I expect there to be a lot of good news and a bit of a feel-good factor next year, which will be good for revenues and for growth across most of our law firm clients. The biggest shift we've seen is really the introduction of tech, and that will continue, which will allow firms of all shapes and sizes to really restructure and not go down the traditional route of this mass hiring at the associate and senior associate level. The fact that tenures at the junior level in law firms are down, and we're doing a study on that at the moment, down dramatically in the last 3 to 4 years. That also has a knock-on effect of people's desire to continue to replace people at that level. We're also, with the advent of artificial intelligence and improved software, shall we say, we're going to see a continued shift away from the traditional positions, support positions like paralegals, legal assistants, etc. These will change and will likely become more data-driven, data analysis, solutions architects, those types of roles. So expect some retraining and reshifting on that front in all firms. I think next 5 years we'll probably see the end of the paralegal role, but it will change into something else. And also the support positions internally as well in things like HR. I've said it before and I've said it again, all of the trends and all of the facts and figures that we research look at the lack of need for big HR teams. There really only needs to be 1 or 2 people to handle any conflicts and contracts and things like that. But every other aspect is moving onto AI systems, and that will continue as firms look to streamline and cut costs elsewhere. In-house, again, still the pressures that this year will continue into the rest of this year and early next. Pressures being how to reduce spend on external counsel, not necessarily by strengthening with hiring numbers, more so about implementing AI and other technology to replace the need. So that's going to continue. There has been an increase in South Africa of sort of lower end in-house jobs this year, mainly from foreign firms looking to use South Africa as a bit of a back office. That will probably continue, but it will be a steady climb. Our stats and research is showing that it will be a steady-ish, plateauing, slight climb. It won't be an abundance of moves here, but it seems to be fairly popular this year, and those two things will continue. LegalTech and new law I'll put together. These are the areas that are showing the most amount of growth, and we'll get onto what that means in terms of actual positions in a later episode. But I have just done a video on cutting through the BS of legal tech jobs that pertain to be legal tech that actually aren't. Anyway, biggest change in the job market at the moment is obviously AI. People are very worried about it. There's anxiety that being drawn. We're going to get replaced. We're not going to be needed anymore. And that's not necessarily true. As we've all said, and hopefully many of you out there think the same, is technology is to be embraced and to learn and to use it and to learn it. This is still your industry. You are the lawyers. This is your industry. You can take control. And how you use an AI and adopt to it and adapt it is up to you. There are risks to some of the more menial tasks and some of the easier work, obviously, that can be done, but that can be seen as an opportunity to go out and do more high-level complex work. There's a recent study that came out of the OECD that put South African lawyers in general, really at high risk of their jobs being altered because of AI. But I think it's a case of the fact that maybe some of the lower level work will change. Things change all the time, and it's to be embraced. But it doesn't. I don't think it's going to have. It's certainly not going to be replacing people anytime soon. It'll just shift the tasks around and hopefully make everybody a little bit more productive and able to get to more clients. Within that report, I did find it very interesting that the two areas that were that respondents thought were most under pressure were legal research, which was 63% of people, and document drafting, which was 57%. Yeah, I think that's probably right. Document drafting is a very interesting one, over 50% thinking that that's under threat. However, that allows you then to take that draft and then implement it for the client and spend more time actually on the client's needs and making it right. So there's a benefit. That was an OECD and a LexisNexis report, which is available online, and hopefully we'll put the link in down below as well. Okay, so very quickly, as we come to the end of this September review, I've talked a lot about, the impact of the market, the fact that there'll be a relative stagnation on salaries, the increase in partner level hiring, certainly those with books of business. The one thing I do want to talk about, and I'll go into this in more detail, but I'm seeing it firsthand with the clients that we're helping restructure, is that there is a comeback for the technical lawyer. And that should be celebrated because obviously for the last 10 to 15 years, many lawyers of all levels have been forced to get out there and get more clients and have become part salesperson. We're seeing a restructure where a lot of that's going to be handled by the rainmakers, and then there'll be this room for technical lawyers to deliver amazing work with technology and AI alongside them. So I think there's a very, very bright future for lawyers in general, being able to focus on the areas that they want to focus on. So we'll do another video on this in the future about the comeback of the technical lawyer. So, but in short, many South African law firms are prioritizing the acquisition of senior associates with strong relationships over anything else. There are some studies that we're reading at the moment about the increase of salaried partners who aren't real equity, and that is something that has to change. There's going to be less and less associate hiring as more and more technology comes in. That is not good for the number of associates that we have here in South Africa, especially at the really junior end when we get down to law students leaving looking for CA positions. So what the future holds is we're going to have to do some research on that, I think, and really look into it and maybe interview some of the key players in the marketplace and get some thoughts. But we'll get onto that very soon. We are looking at the move away from the billable hour, obviously restructuring the way that fees are charged. This means that there's less ability to decipher the hours that the associates have been doing. So there's a whole change going on in the way of working in many law firms. So that's something to watch out for going forward into 2024. It's going to be a real restructure within law firms of how things are working. I do think it's going to mean less jobs for associates, sadly, and senior associates. But there will be more opportunities within LegalTech and new law for said lawyers. So we're going to see a further splintering of the market with more choices for people. So I think all in all, it's going to be a good year next year. The rest of this year is going to be hardworking, nose to the grind, as they say. Yes, we're certainly here doing a lot of research into a lot of areas, trying to predict what's coming forward to help you with your career path. So for now, thanks very much. I'm Rob Green. You can contact me at rob@thegrmgroup.com. Feel free to reach out with any questions and about the job market, and hopefully you'll all have a good September. The sun's shining, so hopefully you have a good one. Thanks very much.